All righty then. Give you a good morning, campers. Well, now we're back. I was going to come in late last night, but I decided I needed sleep, so I did that rather than drinking coffee and getting jacked up. Let's give you a couple of quick updates. I know a lot of people were worried about that, the ticket, of going through the toll booth, that it was a scam and it was some people from wherever sending an email. No, it wasn't an email. It was in the mail. It was an official document, as I told you. I mean, to assume that I am that naive is, shall we say, insulting. But as a result of my phone call, speaking with the official representative at the DMZ, what the hell are they called? They're like the Highway Enforcement Department. You got a lot of departments in Florida because they don't have personal income tax. So what they do is they wrap you for everything. You need to get a license, a permit, and register to do anything and pay the fee. I heard that even, dancers at strip clubs, they need a license to do that. That's funny. Anyway, toll enforcement invoice. Do they have to do auditions? No, that's for the job, but you need the license first. Wonderful. Yes, the toll enforcement invoice. But I know my worried campers will be thrilled to know that I did not call motor vehicle Friday, but instead I got an email yesterday that said, we've looked into it and it's resolved. They canceled it. Okay. That's because they realized it wasn't the right guy. But I still want to know why that came to my address, and we will pursue that. But there are more pressing matters. That was point A. Now, the mystery the other day was using those uncontrollable magic powers to make things disappear. Remember the sheet? I found the sheet. It was under the desk or the table on the floor. So I'm going to blame Piglet. The dog did it. Stand by, campers. And those are two important things. Well, there was a few more. Oh, yes, I received, and I now have in my possession, one of the new backdrops. It's a beigey color with a gradient, so it's not a monotone. I am waiting for the other one to arrive today, and maybe we'll play with that. I think I like the beige better. The other one's like a medium blue with a gradient. So this way Harry, as the visual artist that he is, won't go crazed with the monochrome background. All right. That's cool stuff. And then, I'm returning stuff, packing stuff, unpacking stuff, and rearranging things. I've got a guitar. I want to get the hell out of here. I don't want to even bother putting it on reverb.com or Craigslist or whatever, or eBay and shipping it. I think I'm going to bring it down to the Guitar Center. If they give me a decent price, it's out. I'm tired of looking at it, and it's occupying valuable space and a guitar stand. I have two others that I like, and we're going to keep it that way. All right, important stuff. I'm putting the same links in today that I put in last time, but I actually, after the show, I realized I think the wrong links were there or none, and I did add and I have the sheet today. I did add the links that I had mentioned in there regarding the articles out of Epoch Times, right? Right, the Senate subpoenaing Twitter. I got Bergen's full report and Bergen's interview. The Senate Judiciary Republicans advance Barrett's nomination while the Democrats boycott vote. I feel I'm going to have to call a couple of them and say, what do you mean boycott? Does that mean you're on strike? So you're waiving your pay for that day, you jackasses? You boycott your job. What does that sound like to you? Leave a comment. And then the FDA approving the first treatment of Remdesivir. Boom, boom, boom. There should have been 3. They're there. Anyway, the new one for today, and we're going to limit this because I still have the link in here to Wakefield's movie, which I haven't watched yet. And the new one is Robert Kennedy Jr. on RT. Now realize, Bobby has been blocked and basically blacklisted for, man, this is too shaky. All right, we'll prop this on the hip. Okay. Because the pharmaceutical companies tell them, the networks, that if you put him on, we are going to punish you and remove our advertising. Fox News, what's his name, Roger Ailes told Bobby that directly, that if somebody had him on, Ailes would fire that person, would have to. So that's pretty heavy. I mean, if you're looking at $5 million or $50 million of revenue for not losing it for having someone on, I think it's pretty easy to not have them on. So effectively, the pharmaceutical industry and the networks are censoring, but it's not even the networks. They're controlled by their advertisers. And I found that out 15 years ago. A friend of mine's daughter worked at CNN, and she was a major bigwig up in there. And he was saying, hey, how come this, how come that? How come you're not doing the pictures of the jet hitting the Pentagon? Well, we put it out, but that's not a jet. So the answer was the advertisers may not approve. I said, that's wonderful. So our supposed news is controlled by the advertisers. Economic, or what are we going to call that? Commercial free speech? Yeah. Outrageous. There's another point in there. Anyway, this thing here is RT, and Bobby Kennedy comes on. It is a short clip, 6, 7, 8 minutes. Amazing. And he hammers them. And he goes through Fauci, and Fauci's racket, as he calls it. Sounds like something that might fit for a good Racketeering, Influence, and Corrupt Organizations Act, also known as RICO. But Bobby lays it out brilliantly. And he hits a couple of very important things. And I forgot what the second one was, but it's 8 minutes, and he lays it out. Oh, I just remembered. It's the vaccines. The vaccines, where he talks about the DOD report that says if you've taken the flu vaccine, that it increases your chances of contracting this COVID thing. Isn't that interesting? So this is very important to watch. One of the interviewers, and it wasn't an interview, it was Bobby going pretty much free flow, was clearly blown away by the information. I think you will be too. You need to take a quick look at it. And then I have Breggin and Kathryn Austin Fitts again. Now, the thing with Breggin is I hadn't finished it, and I did finish it this morning. If you watch the second half, the first half he goes through Fauci's misconduct and manipulating the ban on gain of function research and how he just discontinued that. And we discussed that last time. And it's very interesting. How does he have the authority to do that? They discussed that on the first half. The second half, the last 30 minutes, is very interesting because what Breggin, who is a psychiatrist, what he says is that there were studies done on fear, and I'm trying to think, I think it was done perhaps by Moderna, I'm not sure, but he says there's a 3-step process. Just creating fear isn't good enough. Then you have to personalize it, and then you have to give a course of action so people feel like they're doing something, right? So the fear is everybody's going to die, okay? And then, of course, you promote it so everybody hears it, and since everybody's talking about it, it must be true, right? So there you go, propaganda. The second component is personalize it, and that's interesting. And I said this back then, although I didn't realize it's their technical term. I said, look, now they're saying if you get it, you could end up making your parents ill and killing them, or your grandparents and killing them. You wouldn't want to be responsible for the death of your grandparents or your parents, would you? So now that does another layer of fear. Then the layer, the ultimate psyop is you may have it and not even know it, so stay away from people. Now that means everybody is infected. Everybody is Typhoid Mary. Everybody happy, healthy, and horny, as I said, is walking around and they could be carrying a disease that will kill you, so be afraid, right? So the answer is this social isolation, I mean distancing, the masks, the limitation of fundamental rights known as peaceful assembly, picnics, parties, gatherings, dinners, Thanksgivings, Christmases, religious experiences, holidays, worship, weddings, funerals, and even sitting in the used car dealership, okay? Nope. Maintain that distance. Don't have more than 10 people and wear a mask. Why? because that's what you can do to fight this terrible plague, epidemic, and scourge of the earth. Oh, good. So he laid that out. He laid out a couple of interesting things in this, and I thought that was fascinating. I can't remember what they were, but if you haven't seen it, it is chock full of interesting points. Kathryn Austin Fitz, and I haven't read his report, and I think I'm going to, mentioned another couple of things. It's full of info. Now, I'm getting emails from a lot of people that evidently don't realize that I've come over here for now. So I've been responding. I said, no, I'm fine. They, are you okay? We haven't heard. I said, no, YouTube popped me for a week. And, oh, there's another stupid thing about YouTube. I'll tell you in a second. But I said, so I'm on the channel, and I'll send them a link. If you haven't watched the Vilma interview, in there is a good walkthrough, but the link in there to the Excel spreadsheet. Now, this isn't a math function formula spreadsheet. It's used as a file cabinet. At the bottom are tabs, and you could just open it with the Google, whatever, their spreadsheet software, or you could do it with Excel or whatever. But the thing is, when you open it, the tabs are different topics. And what Vilma did is lay the thing out so there are links in, like you just type in. You don't have to use it as formulas. So this is resources, timelines, and it is growing. So click on that. It's a shared file. You can grab it, and it should update if and when she's added. And I would bet heavy she's added. I haven't spoken to her in a couple of days. So that's important stuff. And she shows you just one of the things on how to research funding for your politicians, your elected representatives. The other point in the last show I thought was good and got a couple of comments on it was the discussion, you can see we're settling into our story here, was the discussion of having hearings at the Senate level. And Mary Holland, and if you haven't seen that interview, that is awesome, because she talks about the limited liability of the pharmaceutical industry, zero, and if there is any, what should we say, remedy provided to people who are killed or vaccine injured, their remedy is to sue the government, and if the government agrees to pay, that's taxpayer money. So the pharmaceutical industry has shielded their liability and offset any exposure, financial exposure to the government. Sweet deal. I guess those campaign contributions work. And of course, they put up the dog and pony show saying, oh, if you don't give us liability protection, we're not going to make vaccines anymore. That's the public bullshit message. So the public can say, oh, yeah, man, we need vaccines. And this is back in 1986. But they get the liability, and that was all pushed, not from the public message, but from the, shall we call it, cash flow behind the scenes, yes? Just saying, campers. Now, the other thing I was going to tell you, the geniuses at YouTube. So I got popped the other day. I didn't respond to them yet, and I think I will. But I get another one yesterday. And it's some stupid video on my channel from October of 2016, and the title is called Bucks, meaning money. It's a 4-minute video. It's me sitting, and I didn't make it for general public release. This is for Rockin' Roberta, in fact, who was in Seattle, and we were having like a private conversation in public. I pulled the local paper from West Palm, and they had arrested the guy who was doing the halfway houses and basically doing an insurance fraud scam on drug addicts and treatments, right? And making big money. So the title of the thing was Bucks, and how you could structure this deal and do it. Now, the video is me talking, looking at the newspaper. It's about a 4-minute video, maybe 5, and going through it and giving the analysis of the numbers of what an amazing business this is, in case you haven't thought of it. This guy went way overboard and was extorting and threatening his patients. So he had a treatment center and then a halfway house, and you supposedly at the time weren't supposed to have both. And he had doctors on staff who were corrupt, who basically were writing scripts improperly. They were arrested. It was a major federal bust on this thing, and lots of people went to jail. And this clown pled guilty, and I don't remember what he was sentenced to. It was substantial, 20 or 40 years in federal prison. Outrageous behavior with this piece of shit. But, so I'm reading the paper, and that's it. I'm saying, so that's that, and okay, bye. So I get this ping on YouTube that says, we have found that this violates their community standards and may be, dangerous to children. Like, children? There's nothing here that is attractive to children, nothing that would be offensive. There's no foul language, there's no nudity, there's no perversion, there's nothing that would attract them, like Bozo the Clown and things like that. So where are we going with this? So I responded, I said, please explain what is offensive and dangerous to children that violates your thing, your standards. I said, this is a scene of me sitting at the kitchen table reading the newspaper, and I'm wearing a pair of shorts with my feet up on the chair. I'm wearing shorts because I'm in Florida. It's hot and humid, and that's what we wear here in Florida, right? So please explain the problem. So I got a ping back from them, and they said, yes, we've removed the restriction. Oh, good. And they said, because of the COVID problems, we have less quality reviewers. Now, I want to know who's reviewing this. Are these Americans? Are these Indians? These Chinese? Who's doing this shit? Who's deciding to restrict our First Amendment rights? The WHO? The WHO? Calling the WHO, the WHO, the WHO, is an insult to an excellent rock band and a genius composer, Pete Townsend. Just saying. Anyway, so Breggin discusses Tedros and how Fauci loved Tedros, and the fact that you could do a Google search on Tedros and find out about all kinds of his crimes. And we've done that. I've presented that video here a few times, which really goes through this guy's past behavior as the finance, was he the finance minister? No, he was the health minister. He wasn't the finance minister of Ethiopia, but he refused to treat opposing tribes in his country politically and allowed them to die. Thousands and thousands of people died. And he didn't call it cholera, even though the three countries around him had massive cholera outbreaks. So this is what we have PhD Tedros in public health running the World Health Organization. It's a good interview. He goes through a lot of stuff. That's that. Now, Kennedy discusses Remdesivir, and that was the key. Because remember in the last show, I mentioned how weird is it that the WHO went against it and the FDA did it. Well, here's the deal. Fauci had the FDA approve it, according to Kennedy's reasoning, sounds right, in order to get, who was that? Remdesivir is Gilead, paid $3,000 or $36,000 a dose, meaning a treatment, not per pill, right? And this is an outrageous price, but their reasoning was that they're saving 3 days in the hospital. They changed the test in order, instead of seeing how many lives it saved, see how much hospital time it reduced. So this is Fauci playing his racket. He gets Gilead approved, and now Medicare has to pay for it. So that's our government money, tax dollars, being pissed away to little Fauci's boutique buddies. Unacceptable. And the question is, how much of the patent royalties go to the CDC or the NIH? Interesting question. I'm telling you. Ass kick interview, must watch, okay? The other thing he goes on to after doing Remdesivir is that the WHO said it's no good, not because the tests were no good, because it didn't show that it saved any lives. Interesting. And Bobby talks about HCQ, the whole deal. This is a thorough wrap-up of the whole scoop. You'll love it. I'd love your comments. All right, those are the links. That's your first link is Kennedy, then Breggin, then his report. I am unshaven yet. I'm cleaning, taking care of business. Maybe I'll come back and jump in on you later. It looks like the sun finally came out after a week of rain, so we'll see. The report says it's supposed to rain later in the day. But maybe we'll even get some sunshine. All right, campers, thank you. If you like the thinking, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, and if you haven't, subscribe. I'd like your thinking on how to alert the other campers on the main channel over there that we're over here. Should be back in a couple of days, but, I mean, they're missing out on some good stuff. Thanks. We'll see you later. And of course, I'll put it in PayPal and Patreon so you can support the channel, keep FJ above water, and rolling now. A lot of good stuff out there, campers. We'll see you later. Thanks. Bye.